Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the No ID podcast. I have here, I'm probably going to say, not probably, I am going to say one of my favorite professional wrestlers out there right now. He's coined, he is the phrase, be a revolutionary. He is a revolution in my eyes from what I've been seeing on social media and online. The one and only Darius Lockhart.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the kind words.
Oh man, thank you, man. I appreciate what you're doing right now, man. I follow Black Wrestling Allegiance, and I came across your page, and I instantly got hooked.
Oh, thank you.
I started Googling you, and I just got lost into a trance. I really was in a trance. I really into a trance.
No, that goes a long way. I try to do something that's interesting to folks. I try to put out what I would like as a fan. You know what I mean? I try to hopefully. I'm glad it can garner interest and it can get that kind of response out of someone. That really means a lot to me. Yeah.
Man. So tell me, how did you get started into the wrestling industry?
It was one of those things where I was a kid. I was 12 when I discovered pro wrestling. When I say discovered, but I mean more so on the lines I was reintroduced to it in terms of like understanding what it was meant to do and what it was all about. What made it special. So around 12 years old, I fell in love with it, and I would start going to local indie scenes, and I would run into I would go to Ring of Honor shows that are local. I would go to this company called PWX back home in Charlotte. It was about, I don't know, how was I, 14, 15, I started going to these regular indie shows. And one day I walked into the gym and I recognized the face from one of the Ring of Honor shows. And it was Cedric Alexander. And I thought he was, cool. I remember seeing him. It was cool to see someone from Charlotte doing that. So I walked up to him, I tried to get him in between sets. I know wrestlers didn't like when you interrupt their workouts, but I introduced myself to him. He kind of took note or whatever like that. I think I saw him around again later on, but he would be around some other indie wrestlers, and I would ask them, I would go, are High Spots is I've heard about this wrestling school here. Is High Spots still open? And they would tell me, yeah, just show up like Tuesday, and I showed up the right Tuesday after. Ran into Cedric there again, and he was like, "Oh, okay, so you made your way here almost." And so we kind of we got clicked together off of that, and then he kind of introduced me to George South, who was the head trainer there at High Spots Pro Wrestling, and it was kind of, I hate to say the rest is history, but from there I started training. That was about 2012. I was a senior in high school. I legit quit the amateur wrestling team in my high school to go start pro wrestling. I was only 17. So yeah, I remember saving the money up and just showing up immediately, like Tuesday, just to like, let's ready, let's go. And from then on, it was just kind of whatever. I had my first match about a year later, 2013, with no ring. It was really funny. It was no ring there. We were supposed to be doing a wrestling show for kids. Just youth, just local youth. And the ring truck broke down on the way there. And legit, my trainer took 4 sticks, put it in the ground, tied a rope around it, and said, "Well, you guys know how to wrestle, and nothing changes." So my first match was against Cedric Alexander in the grass, in the middle of 4 sticks and a car flag string.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my claim to fame. I started fame, and then again, journey from there.
Yeah. So when I see your social media and see you post, be a revolutionary. The things that I've read about you doing back in your community, the message of Black Power, Black Lives Matter. I've seen you. I watched this video, I don't know how many countless times, unapologetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I told you earlier before this podcast started, I watched this video numerous times. I showed my coworkers at work. I'm like, man, I'm interviewing this guy, man. This is interesting. Because you don't see that in this industry. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You don't see a lot of outspoken. You don't see a lot of people that's not afraid to be loud and political and unapologetic like yourself.
Appreciate that.
I don't mean to get off subject, but I remember in the early '90s, I came up in the Attitude Era as far as wrestling goes. So the whole WCW versus WWF and everything like that. And when I first started watching, the wrestler that I gravitated towards was Ahman Johnson. Right? And then he started this. He had this wrestling feud with Farouk Assad. Right? And then, Farouk was supposed to be this space galactic. I don't know what it was, but he came out, he's wrestling. Then, Ahmad gets injured. And next thing you know, Farouk is now Nation of Domination. Right. So in the Attitude Era, and I was really thinking about this. I was like, man, getting older. I'm like, the Attitude Era had the Nation of Domination in there, and they were portrayed as villains, but they were playing on the Black Panther Party.
Right on.
And I was like, is that? I mean, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it as a kid, but getting older, I was like, okay, what was the meaning behind that? Because that was something for us. So,
what were you? Go ahead. I'm not even gonna cut you off. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it, And then later on in life, I found out about food. Ron Simmons, first Black World Heavyweight Champion. And he gets over to WWF.
Yeah. I met Ron Simmons for the first time. I want to say in November, just this past November, and that was quite an experience. And yeah, he had I asked him a lot of questions about all that run and everything like that. And there's definitely there's definitely folks that was that wasn't by accident for sure. I don't think, you know what I mean. There were definitely times, he said to me that, things were stalled or pushed back because things were going a little bit too good. You know what I mean? For him, that is, the fans would react positively or anything like that. And some people wouldn't want that to happen. So I see exactly where you're going. Yeah, it's incredible to look back on something that was so real and truthful and have it portrayed to be, something that should be booed,
I had Shane Taylor on my last episode. Bring her on.
Oh yeah,
I love Shane. Right? I want to see him win the title. I want to see him get the title.
We all do.
I really want, and him, Jay Lethal, ACH, Jonathan Gresham, like all of them. Like I'm just going down the list of what I've seen. Right? And he broke down the science of wrestling in the industry.
Yeah, man.
And I have yet to be able to enjoy WWF. WWE.
It's kind of hard. I mean, it's kind of like what I said in the video, Unapologetic. You look at all the sports, all the sports that still for entertainment, but not positioned the same way pro wrestling is, not presented the same way professional wrestling is. And it's like, the one sport you can control the outcome, that is where we aren't at the top of the card. It's where we aren't represented. It's where we aren't, made to look as strong. So yeah, there's a lot of politics backstage to try to ensure. Because we've seen technically, with the WWE or any major company like that, they have the biggest distribution. They have the biggest eyes at the biggest stage. So at the end of the day, if you're a wrestling fan casually, which most people are just casual wrestling fans, hardcore wrestling fan bubble is a little bit more niche. But if you're a casually wrestling fan, that kind of stage, that kind of presence, that kind of power, that natural, what's the title I want to say? When they say you're a home name, you know what I mean? Like your household name, that branding, the household brand, it has taught you and trained you how to view Black wrestlers, African-American wrestlers, these kind of talents. It's taught you how to view us. Because, I had a friend named Chris, and he was young. He became a wrestler eventually, but when he was younger, he told me, he said, when I was 7, I wasn't convinced that I could be a pro wrestler because I just noticed as a kid that, all the black wrestlers just weren't very good. They always lost all the time. And in his eyes, when you're a kid, losing is if you're good or not, you win, you lose. Like that's when you're a kid, you're processing this as a fan, a casual fan. So as a kid, even then seeing African Americans not being exactly empowered through the professional wrestling business or through that lens of, TV, it was the message was pretty clear. You know what I mean? It's pretty clear. So yeah, I'm sure Shane had a lot to say about that on both sides of it, because I mean it's a problem that's been in this industry for an uncanny amount of years. Even outside of any specific company, not even to name drop any companies, but it's really like it's almost at its foundation. Yeah.
Yeah. Because most recently was the Kofi Kingston match. He
Mm-hmm.
built him up, wins at WrestleMania, has title for a couple of months, loses in 8 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing, man, is, I look at wrestlers like superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
You're going out there, you're going to go fight the villain, you're going to go save the day.
Right on.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm start showing my matches to my little cousin because he's a wrestling fan himself. So I'm going to have... Say what?
It's always beautiful when it's a family thing.
Yeah, man. And I'm going to show it to him. Like, this is what we need to see more of, is more black representation, especially in a predetermined sport, because you said, okay, name the GOAT of tennis: Williams, basketball, Jordan, wrestling.
Yeah. We naturally make our way to the top of every sport, but the one that you can control, that's when we fall short every time. I just think that's a coincidence. I always say it's a joke. It's a reason, our truth got to be our truth and John Cena got to be John Cena. It's the same gimmick, the same act, but one's trajectory is significantly higher than the other. You know what I mean? Despite of the actual ability, because our truth has actual ability. You know what I mean? And that's just one example of a million. I mean, and thank you for saying something, that kind of saying, it's kind of like a superhero thing, but it is because, kids internalize messages. We all do. I mean, that's what, television programming is. It's, subconsciously sending you a message. It's a picture is worth 1,000 words. We're seeing a million pictures every 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And so that gets embedded in your head, and you start to really comprehend on a subconscious level what what it means when you see black people at the bottom of the totem pole every single time. So yeah, I kind of do. I definitely, not even kind of, I definitely agree. We need more representation on every single level, but also we need more than just representation, because representation only gets you so far. Representation only gets you so far. No, I'm not gonna say anyone's win isn't as significant as the next person's or anything like that, or or put any shade on anyone's accomplishments, because I think we've all accomplished so much. There's so many talents, no matter who you work for, no matter who you're with. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that if the sport is, of a predetermined nature or anything like that, then what happens, how we're represented, how we're viewed, is still in someone else's hands. So we need to have that representation on both sides of the curtain, where someone's actually making decisions like that. Because, when you only have one perspective, you have a lot of blind spots around you. And when you have a lot of blind spots around you, someone's, going to have an accident eventually. And sometimes it's not even so accidental in this case, because, we've seen it's just been too apparent over the past few decades of what's happening with black athletes and black wrestlers in the sport. But we're starting to put our heads together and try to figure out ways that we can be on both sides of those curtains. And I think that's where the battle really needs to be.
Yeah, both sides it needs to be. We need to have representation that looks just like us on both sides of the curtain. I agree. I really agree. You had in your unapologetic video, I'm gonna keep going back to it because, like I said, that's my favorite video. That and the one you did with your mom.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was Kwame Ture.
See, yeah. Black Panther Party.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, crazy thing was that actually the first episode of this podcast was with my mom.
Oh wow! So there you go. Yeah, that's where it all starts.
It really does. That's my girl.
Mm-hmm.
You had said the future is women, the future is
Mm-hmm.
gay, and the future is Darius Lockhart.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're not gonna get
Yeah.
much fight back from me. I'm not gonna argue with you because I'm right there with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I said something along the lines of the future is also everything the gatekeepers that said the past wasn't. And those are some of those things that are included because for so long we're sitting here. Like I said, I was watching the Ruthless Aggression documentary, I think it was, and I noticed every person who was telling us about history, was telling us about the decisions and why they were made, were just old white men. Every person who had to say so were old white men, and that's it is what it is. But it's just one of those things where it's like, in order for us to see real change and not, the top of the card obviously looks like the back of the boardroom, right? like the backstage. So we have to change. Like I said, representation. That's kind of don't want to beat a dead horse, but you have to change those people back there. It starts there. And when we get people like that in those spaces, when we see women on creative teams, when we see LGBTQ people on creative teams, when they have an insight, when they actually have the input on how they are portrayed to a national televised audience, millions of people, because like I said, I'm a Black man and I can write for a Black person, but there's only so much I can write for a Black woman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a perspective to that I don't know. There's a story and layers to that I may know, but can only understand, but on such a deep level. So obviously, there's some things that I won't think of. There are things I won't want to see. There are things I won't think because it's not part of my experience. But there are so many people in the audience that is their experience. So that needs to change. The future legit has, in order for the sport to evolve, for it to survive, for it to even be current, it does have to look like the people of this world, the people who want to see the product, the people who feel left out. If you look at certain audiences, the top of the card looks like the audience, and none of those people look like myself. You know what I mean? So in order for this sport to get outside this niche bubble of just with all just white phantom, because that's all that it really caters to. You kind of, until recently, with people get performative with allyship when it's convenient or when it's popular, when it's trendy. So recently we've seen a lot of championship changes. Not to, like I said, not to rain on anyone's parade or anyone's accomplishments, but those are only but so much, especially if they're forced like that. But back to my main point, we have the chance right now to change so much if we just change who's in those positions or even expand who's in those positions, because that's when we actually see some things change, and the future can really be what it's supposed to be, because there are so many communities who are underserved on every level, and that's in and out of professional wrestling. This is the only field that's happening, but the future legit for this world to really be at its best, it does have to be gay. It has to be female. It has to be Black. It has to be all those things. And I'm lucky that I'm in. I definitely think I hope to get to be a part of that future, and I'm proud to be a part of that future, just because it's too stagnant for where it's been at right now. It's far too stagnant.
It is. As a comedian, it's a lot of gatekeepers as well too. Because a pandemic kind of slowed us down. But I just got to thinking about like how comedy and wrestling kind of go together, right? Favorite comedian, Patrice O'Neal.
Yeah. Former WWE creative member, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He actually wrote Mark Henry Sexual Chocolate.
Look at
that. Character, which is I'm not even going to discuss that, but
no.
We're not going to go into details about that because there's so much red tape and flags that bother me about that gimmick.
Yeah.
But
me too.
You like I told you before, I didn't see that as young as when I was young.
Well, no one does,
Yeah, and
exactly.
The climate has changed. You see a lot of things have changed. It's a lot of Black wrestlers out there that I love. was Bianca Belair. Congratulations to her. Just won the Women's Royal Rumble, right?
Absolutely. Amazing talent.
Like I said, Kofi Kingston, been on the ground for years. Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal is like, oh gosh, like he got the Ring of Honor. I mean, he was always one of the best when he was in TNA, but he got the Ring of Honor was something that just changed. Shane Telly, yourself.
Thank you.
Damn, the list.
A million more.
It's so many. Miss Jacqueline from the early days, you know.
Yeah.
Cruiserweight champion, female cruiserweight champion, black female cruiserweight champion, Naomi.
You know.
Man, we could be here all night, brother. But
yeah. Listen, and all amazing in their own way, you know, because there are certain people, you know, they'll swear that, you know, it's all the same. That's why there can only be so many in a room at the same time. You know what I mean? You know, it's funny how that happens. You know, people look at it as like almost meeting a demographic or a quota. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we have this many black people, and we don't really need another. You know, we got that quota filled. I've been told that to my face sometimes. You know, so and that's been an ugly situation. But there's been so many things like that where that is the general outlook that you see in these rooms. People are in these rooms thinking like that. You know, oh, I don't need to hire another black person because, you know, we already got two, as if those people will just cover all of blackness, as if it's a monolith that can really be shortchanged into one thing. It's a little troublesome because, like I said, those are the people who get to make decisions. Those same people who have that, you know, that outlook. And that's just so it's irresponsible, but it's wild to see. So I like to acknowledge when people do those lists how different each one of those people are. They all bring something absolutely different to the table, and it's a beautiful thing.
I mean, we were all alike. I think the product itself would just be still, you know. We always wanted to see something different. Like, you know, I tell my little cousin, I'm like, look, man, you gotta be your own person, be your own man, because at the end of the day, nobody's gonna be built like you in general, you know.
Exactly.
And great minds don't think alike; they think for themselves.
There's one. That's exactly.
So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you were ranked in PWI 2020 365 out of 500.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you feel about that? I mean, of course,
it's the one for 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was honestly surprised. I only had 3 matches. I was honestly surprised. I got hurt at the beginning of the year. In February, I tore my front pec while wrestling for the Pan African Diaspora Championship. Actually, I had 4 matches. I was telling the tale a little bit, but yeah, no, I got hurt pretty early on in the year, so I was honestly honored. Now, granted, I think some of my later work at the end of 2019 got called into play. I think it was some of my stuff in England too at the tail end that kind of gave me a little rub. So that's convenient. But you know, I was honestly, I don't really think too much about those lists, you know, because there's one person's perspective, you know, and also I know that, you know, this year was one of the better years that PWI had in terms of like diversity and who was on it and how different it was. So that was good to see. I did appreciate that nod, but I don't really pay too much attention to rankings, you know. I just don't. I don't want to like disparage them because I do respect the PWI 500. I think it's a accomplishment and a blessing to be acknowledged by your peers, or you know, to have your name in a magazine is pretty cool. I was a collector at PWI when I was a child, so it's always nice to see my name in print. But I wasn't really too concerned about the listing, you know. Until I'm number 1, then I'll brag about it all day. But yeah, but right now I didn't think twice about it. I was like, that's cool, and just let it fly.
Yeah, man. If I'm not mistaken, too, I looked you up on Cage Side Seats. Viral Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, 786 days.
Yep, that's about right. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. They tried to strip me, I think, at 650 But pandemic, so we kind of just hold on, had a couple extra days on it. But yeah, no, I was running the Viral Pro Heavyweight Championship. I think that was my fourth or fifth championship overall. And, that was a place down in Georgia, Thompson, Georgia. That's been really good to me. I'll be honest. And they really saw my efforts and talent for who I am, for what it was. They weren't, they were one of the few people who weren't afraid of what I brought to the table. I remember there was even a situation at one point where someone, I think it was a sponsor of theirs, was trying to force their hand into making them unbook me because they thought what I was doing was, racist or wrong or something like that. And that company stood there and stood by me and said, no, well, we don't need you as a sponsor, and stood by me. And I thought that was wonderful for them to do. So, I don't really get to talk about them much, especially over the past year for the pandemic. I haven't really been in the mood to swing or rub my accolades and everyone. It's not really the time to do that, I felt. But during an interview like this, I'm always going to put over Viral Pro because they believed in me to carry that company. And even though I have disagreements, with Joshua Hancock, the owner, him and I have had a couple scraps in the ring before. But other than that, I think it's been a very cool place to, try things out, grow, bring talent to, if anyone can, has footage of Viral Pro, they find some across Viral Pro. You can find some on the High Spots Wrestling Network. Please check it out. It has a lot of good talent that's yet to be discovered. So, proud Viral Pro Heavyweight Champion, at least 650 days, if not 700, and the number you stated. Yeah.
I saw this, man. It was 2 years. And I saw PWX Innovative Television Champion 2 times.
3 times. I don't know why everyone. It was 3 times. I'm the only 3-time holder in that company's history. And my last time I beat Chase Owens to do it from the Bullet Club. So I think that's why they don't have it. The Bullet Club marks. But yeah. I'm 3-time. But yes, that was a good stint in that company too. I'm no longer there. I think it was time for me to move on. I think I needed to evolve a little bit more past what they were. I'm not gonna say allowing me to do because no one allows me to do anything, but enabling me to do. So I think it was just time to move on. But to put it lightly, but my TV championship, I'm very proud of those reigns. I helped work. I worked with a lot of good talent during that.
Yeah, man. And 2019 Feud of the Year with Lucky Ali. Y'all put on a steel cage match, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And when I type your name in, as soon as I type in Darius Lockhart, steel cage follows right.
Really?
Like this, you can do it right now, and it'll say it goes right to the steel cage match.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that. People must really like it. It's funny. We had a lot going against that match. I wasn't really sure if it was going to see eyes or not. If our final block was going to see eyes or not. That there's a lot of this, just a lot of funny situations around that feud. But I'm glad we got to put that together. And that steel cage match is something I'm still very proud of. I didn't get to win it. He did come out the better man, unfortunately. But I don't think our story is really going to end. He had some funny words on Twitter to say the other night. So if I see him again, I'm sure we'll have our words. But who knows if he'll turn anything else or rematch or anything.
Most definitely. Man, yeah, I saw that, man. Like I said, I've been on your social media for a while. You posted up about Angela Davis.
Yeah.
Oh man, today yeah. The Black Sam of Vermont.
Yeah, the first ever recorded or documented, so to speak, professional wrestler, African American professional wrestler. The first one of the first few Black champions of the United States, period, of any kind of sport. He was one of the first few Black champions. So we have to put respect on those Sam of Black Vermont, the Black Sam of Vermont.
Well, definitely, and the Jackie Robinson tribute hoodies, which I'll be ordering.
I have to put those back up. They were only available for about 3 weeks, so I'm going to give them. Might give them another run. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But right now, they're not available anymore.
I'll wait. I'll wait.
Yeah, you go. Yeah,
I'll support. Well, I'll wait. I'll
thank
wait.
you.
The stuff is dope, man. Like I said, I got addicted to your social media. I don't really go on, as a comedian. I don't even go on social media like that. But yeah,
Oh, wow, that's a compliment. I try to make my social media interesting. I try to make it cool for anyone who doesn't know who I am enough to like see it and be a little drawn in at the least. I'm nobody's social media expert, but I would love to. I love to see what I can do to set a different kind of vibe about myself. I never want to do the same thing twice. Or I never want to be too much like anybody else. I want people to know Darius Lockhart when they see it's Darius Lockhart.
definitely. So, is there anything that you want to say to those that's listening, the listeners, or followers, or anybody that's actually a wrestling fan or trying to break into the industry?
Mhm. Just we need more of different places in all these different spaces. Really, I should say, we need more different faces in all these different places. That's what I really meant to say. I'm want to encourage people, anyone who's different, anyone who feels like they don't have a place in pro wrestling. I want them to try it anyway. I want you to give it your all. I want you to come. Don't be weary of identity politics or like that. This is a space that's for you too. I want to encourage people to chase after, what they want in life, after their dreams. But also want people to remember, where there's people's power and to come together with things as well. They say, I believe the saying is, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I want to leave that with people as well. So, yeah, in and out of the ring, whether we're talking about wrestling, we're not talking about wrestling. I think right now I want to give people the message of unity and strength in numbers and the power you all have together. Like I said, people, where there's people, there is power. And I want to harp on that. That's my message for 2021, basically.
Okay. All right. If anybody wants to follow you, how do they follow you?
You can follow me on social medias. Twitter will be DLockPro, DLockPro. You got Instagram. You have Darius Lockhart, and everything else. I'm really Darius Lockhart, just period. I would that creative. You can find me online, DariusLockhart.com. Most of my social medias are just a link to that as well. That's just the one easy stop and search. And anywhere else, just don't add me on Facebook. Everything else, I'm fine. You can just do whatever with. But please follow me on everything. I'm coming out with a lot of good content this year, so please just follow my YouTube page as well. That's Darius Lockhart also. So we're coming along.
Yeah, and make sure if you go on the YouTube, Unapologetic, and make sure you check out the interview he did with his mom. Like I swear, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I hope we can give you some more content like that you can gravitate to as well, brother.
I will, and because of you, I forgot the female wrestler that you posted, but I'm actually gonna try and hit her up to do a podcast interview and bring her on for season 4.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I saw your Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, I've been tweeting various black female athletes, so I'm not sure which one you might be talking about. Maybe it's Brooke Valentine. Maybe it was Queen Aminata.
Queen
Either
Aminata.
Queen Aminata. Yeah. Both talents are amazing. I also posted Amber Rodriguez and her crew, Queendom, the other week as well. So any of those talents, if you're interested in pro wrestling, if you love to see Black women in pro wrestling, any of those examples would be some phenomenal ones. Those are talents to look after and look out for.
Most definitely. Well, make sure you guys follow me, Instagram, Twitter, Rome Thanks. You can follow the podcast at No ID Media. We actually stopped calling it a podcast because we're not going to put ourselves in a box anymore. We're just going to try to expand. We're not going to do that anymore. But Darius, I appreciate the interview. It's been a pleasure, brother. I see nothing but great things coming along. I've already seen great things, so I'm just curious to see what's going to happen now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll hope to cross your path soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. See you again, sir.
See you.